where everything starts. And we said everything starts with what we have in the land, so with primary products. And whatever we do, whether it's a cup of coffee or a car or a house, anything starts from nothing. So we have to build it up from where we get in nature, and it's a process. So we talked yesterday about the process from having a little bean, to planting the bean, to taking the bean with a machine, to go to a shop, and for the last thing to be a cup of coffee, right? That's what we talked about yesterday, and we said that the process takes quite a long time, but it's all a process, and the most important thing is it starts here. It starts with what we have in land, with land resources. And then we were going to do today CVs, but yesterday there were loads of questions about supply and demand and what it actually meant. And I think that today what we do very quickly, and the next lesson we do about CVs and everything else, is understand what supply and demand means, because everything in economics and in a business depends about supply and demand. And what we have done so far, and everything that we have done, and it goes back to the first lesson, is you need to find a problem, and that problem you find a solution, and that solution, the product, is your business. And the clue is in here. The clue is to be a problem, you need to have demand, right? Because the thing is, problem, if you think about it, is demand. So if there is demand from people, people need something, they need a product, people need toilets, people need toilet paper, people need food. And we need to find a solution, and that solution needs to be something in your business that provides a supply. And the two are very, very important for economics. Can you think of any examples? Give me examples of things that people need, that you need. Sophia?
Water.
Water, okay. What else do you need? Isabella?
Food.
Food, okay. What else do you need? Just 5 things.
Oxygen.
Oxygen, okay. Wow, that's okay. But that you cannot buy oxygen at the moment in the air because the oxygen is free.
Clothes.
Clothes, very good. One more example.
Toilet roll.
Toilet roll, okay. Say you have 5 examples of things that you need. So you need all that, there are products that you need. And sometimes there are people that provide a solution. So if you are, for example, the person that sells, I'm going to go with, because of the COVID, toilet paper, okay? So toilet paper. So go back to example, you had a problem, people need to clean themselves, so they need toilet paper. So you put a business that is called, Toilet Paper Limited, and they distribute toilet paper. And you think, how many people, what is the people that are going to buy my toilet paper? And you will look at who are you going to sell, who are you going to be your buyers of that toilet paper, and how much demand it may be. And say that you live in a country that has, say 10 million people. That's the maximum demand. Yes? Because that's the maximum people. So if you have 10 million people in a country, and you know who are going to be your buyers, the maximum amount of people that you can sell is 10 million, because there are no more people. That's the maximum demand that you will have in the country. But not everybody is going to buy your product, because most people are going to say, I don't need it, or I want some other product, or I don't like it, or there may be babies, and babies don't use toilet paper, but they use nappies. So the demand for that, your customers, are going to be a lot less than 10 million. So what do? You do surveys. So you go and ask people, what do you like? Do you use it? Don't you use it? And you come with a number. And you find out what of that demand that you need, because first of all, you don't want to issue loads and loads and loads and build loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of toilet paper and nobody buys them from you. The same as if you did coffee all day. You don't want to have 100 cups of coffee in your shop, if only 10 people are going to come and buy cups of coffee, because you're not going to sell all of them and you're going to waste all the cup of coffee you didn't make. So you want to see how many people are going to buy them, and you're going to then find out how much supply is already in the market. So you're going to find out, what name do you give to people that do the same that you do in a business? So what happens if somebody does exactly the same that you do?
Then less people are going to buy.
No, but what name do you give them? So what do they do?
Copier?
No, they're competitors. So it's competition. So in the market, you will have a number of people that will do exactly the same that you do. And you're going to have to, before you put a business, you have to research who is doing your business, because it may be that nobody's in your business, so you don't have competitors. But most of the time you're going to have people that already do what you do. So there are some people that may already be doing toilet papers. So you want to know everything about it. You want to know what quality they do, how many toilet papers they sell, how much they charge by the toilet paper, where do they sell them? Do they sell them in supermarkets or they sell them by website? How do they sell them? Do they sell them by 2s, by 4s, by 30s? Who buys them? So you want to know everything. So you do, that's called market research. And you go around and ask people, all these questions are absolutely fantastic for your business, because the only way that you will be able to understand the market is by asking these people and understanding the market. And then you understand how much supply is in the market, okay? And when you understand how much supply is in the market, you will understand possibly how much demand there is and how much supply. So what is the gap? You're trying to find a gap between the supply, the demand, and here is your gap. You want to fill that gap because that's where your product is going to go. So that's the thing that you want to happen. And then the question for you is, and this is where sometimes it's quite difficult, and we're going to put some examples so we all understand it. What happens for the price? We're going to talk about price. Okay, so what do you think? Okay, what happens with the price of a product? Okay, if there is really high supply but really low demand. So really high supply and very, very low demand. So if you have a lot of toilet rolls, so a lot of people in here do toilet rolls, but very few people want to buy them. Sophia?
Your money's going to go down.
So you're going to, what do you mean your money? Is it the price of your product?
Yeah.
Is going to go up or down? Are you going to sell it cheaper or are you going to sell it more expensive?
Cheaper.
You're going to sell it cheaper, exactly, because you need to sell it cheaper, because if there is too much supply, there is loads of things that nobody's buying. For example, at the moment, there is loads of milk. So people, there are lots of cows. Nobody's drinking out of milk because the supermarkets are closed, because a lot of shops are closed. So there is loads of milk. So what is happening? The farmers are having to throw the milk. And because it's so much milk, then the price of the milk goes down, because all is driven by supply and demand. Yes? So if at the moment you were going to sell your toilet rolls and you have a price of £1, if you are in this scenario where it's really high supply and really low demand, the likelihood is that you're going to reduce your toilet rolls by 80p. And what do you have to think about it? When you have to reduce the cost, you need to work out whether that is still going to make you a profit. Do you remember what we did before our profits? Because you're going to have to sell something cheaper. You thought that you were going to sell it for £1. Now you're going to have to sell it for 80p. Because unless you sell it for 80p, what happens? People may buy the other ones. But what do you think that you can do to make sure you can make it higher? So to keep the price higher?
Sell them differently?
Sell them differently. You can be unique. So maybe if you have done the market research right, if your product is better than anybody other product, or is bigger or is better, the quality is better, people will think, it's a lot of supply But everybody that sells that kind of product is exactly the same. They are all bad quality, they're not very good, they're not very soft. So I prefer to buy that product because it's unique, it's a product that nobody else sells, or it's bigger, or it's better, or it is delivered quickly. So for example, at the moment, there may be a lot of supply, but you have to wait a long time to get it. So what happens is that you buy them in eBay or you buy it by Amazon because you know that it's going to come very, very quickly. You can have a completely different thing. What happened if you have very, very low supply? So there is very people that have them, but you have really, really, really high demand. So everybody wants your product. Isabella?
You can up your price.
You can up your price, and the price goes up. So now you're thinking, I'm going to sell it to 1.20. What is the danger of that?
Less people can start buying it because they're more expensive.
So less people can buy it. But if you were a customer and you always have bought that product before, and now you think, there is not enough that going around, so that company has put the price up. What will happen to customers? What do you think that customers will do when supply goes up again?
They'll stop going to that type of design or that place.
They will though, because what they will say is that product was always £1 and that people abuse the market. They thought, we can charge more money, so we are going to lose loyalty. And loyalty is really important, okay? So if you put the prices up, so you abuse the market cycle, because that's what it's called. We're talking about my market cycles. So this is your market, and that's supply and demand. And supply and demand always goes like this. It's very difficult to have a straight line. Sometimes there is more supply, sometimes there is more demand, sometimes it's the other way around it. What you want to have is an equilibrium between the two of them, so you know where you are. But that's nearly impossible because you never know how many people want something. Isabella?
Can you ever have the same supply as there is demand?
Yes, so sometimes the perfect position that you will have is to have the same supply to the same demand. So if you produce 10 cups of coffee and you get 10 cups of coffee that they buy for you, this is the perfect position because you're not wasting anything. But it's very, very difficult because if we go back to the example that we were doing yesterday, for example, you have a coffee shop and you think that every day 20 people are going to come and buy you coffee. That's your demand. The problem is that some days somebody gets ill, sometimes somebody's late, sometimes somebody doesn't want a cup of coffee, somebody wants a Coke. So your supply is always going to change. Somebody may have a special offer, so they go somewhere else, they go to the competition. So you're always going to fail, but the perfect position will be this because the supply and demand will be in equilibrium, and you want to have that equilibrium, but it's very difficult. But the market changes you will always have. But that's the problem, that if you have a shop and you start to sell things that are too expensive, people will start to think, I lose my loyalty, and customer loyalty is very important because your customers will come back to you, and without customers, what happens?
There's no business.
It's no business. You lose your business, and it takes a very long time to build a business, but it takes very little time that people lose the belief in your product. So that's why it's so important. So are you clear now on supply and demand? Is it easier now?
Yeah.
Okay. So as we said before, this was important because we want to make sure that we understood supply and demand. And tomorrow we will look then at how to do a good CV and what do we mean about doing a CV for everybody so they can apply for a job. So we'll do some exercises about applying to jobs and CVs, okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.